Hi, it's Jez here from nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. So this is part 4 of this Christmas folio. So I am going to start with making my little journal that I'm going to put in this belly band. If you've missed the other parts, there'll be a playlist. You'll be able to find them. Vintage Christmas folio, part 1, 2, 3, and now 4. So this is some of the paper that I distressed in a previous video, and I thought this would make a nice cover. Don't like that on the inside. Don't want it to be too thick, so I think I'm going to use the brown packaging that I made the envelopes out of. So I've got another sheet of it because I don't think any of the bits I've got left will be big enough. So I think it will give it a nice sort of crinkly sort of sound. So I just want a bit down there. Let me get my ruler. I know I'm out of shot a little bit here, but it's because it's an enormous piece of paper. I'll come back in shot in a sec. I realised I think it was episode 2. Probably missed quite a bit off the bottom half, but it's too late when it's done. It's not exactly a project I could redo. So there we go. So I hope you managed to see it all. I think I did better in the next one, so I haven't cut that too small, have I? No. So it's slightly different colour on one side than the other. I want that on the outside, so I'm going to stick this to that quite simply. I'm going to use my colour glue because that will also add a little bit of strength to it. So it's just, if you've got nice paper, don't like the other side, cover it up. Cover it up, and it sort of shows that for covers you can get away with using thinner paper if you're gluing other paper to it. So I'm putting quite a lot over that. It's making some of that foiled sheeting run a bit. Now, this is my little silicone brush. Look, this was yesterday's gluing and it just peels off. How cool is that? Clean as a whistle now. Clean as a whistle. Right, so just gonna, as you can see, this is a solvent based glue and it is causing that foiling, whatever is in that foiling, to run. But it doesn't matter because we're covering it up. So it's okay. Right, want a little bit more around that edge. Just going to run a bead all the way around the edges so that the edges is nicely adhered. And then, don't matter if there's a bit of glue on there, we're just going to stick that to it and then we'll trim it down. That is my intention. Moving it out from the middle. I'm aware of the fact I've got glue on my hands. Let me just give my hands a little wipe before I completely fluff up what I'm doing. Get that right out to the edging. That's squeezing all that glue out to the edges so that the edges of the cover will stick. And I'm just going to do this with, I'm just going to really, I think, put plain paper. in it, so it's just for writing and things. So that's okay. Well, on that side, I think I'd slightly ironed the other packaging paper. Right, I'm going to leave that to dry for a sec, because collall does take a little minute to dry, and I don't want to be folding until it is actually dry. So move that out of the way. Give this a bit of a wipe because I've got some oozing over this. There we go. Now let's gather some paper. Right, so I've gathered my paper. So I've got some tea dyed, some coffee dyed, some avocado, a couple of different shades there of avocado. I think that's an early coffee dyed, as is there. Some of these I folded whilst I was dyeing them. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got 9 sheets there. I've got a couple of doilies. I might put a paper bag in there as well. So there, I've got a little bag. I'll put that in. Right, so now I think we can cut this down and then we can see what size we want our pages to be. I'm going to use my guillotine on this to cut it. So that's feeling a little bit better, a better thickness now for the cover. Grease that spine. So what size are we looking at? Because I have forgot. So, well, actually I don't think I measured it. So that looks like it's 6 3/4 by 5 1/8. So if we make them 5 inches wide, oh no, that is 5 inches wide. So we make it 4 7/8 by 6 5/8. 4 7/8 by 6 5/8. Let me get one of the thicker sheets. I'm terrible at remembering. 6 3/8 tall, isn't it? Now I could have a pocket coming up on some, but I might not. So let's fold this in half. And then we can just fold in the other ends. So we wanted to go 4 7/8. So if we give that a bit of a fold, it's not much of a fold. I might be better off not having it folded over. I think that is a good size. So I might leave them a bit folded. Or I might decide to take them off. So let's do a couple of sheets at a time. how wide are we doing them? Because I might trim it. So we're going 4 7/8. So that is 9 3/4. Okay, so that's all the papers cut up, and in the end I decided to do things at different sizes. So when it came to the lined paper, I wanted the lines to be in the right direction, so I cut one at the right height and had the leftover, but they're not quite as wide, but it doesn't matter. And then I decided to cut these. I just cut the A4 in half, so they're shorter. I just thought it might sort of add a bit of interest. I've taken the bottom off the bag and I've folded them all over. So I might do that one that's got a little bit of a flippy that I might turn into a pocket. I'm going to put that in first because there'll be a bit of protrusion as we go on, and then the ends will get cut off. So I want that one to be first, so that end won't get cut off. And how's that looking? Possibly a bit too thick. So let's have a little look-see, because I might decorate the front as well. So I mean, it will fit in, but it is causing a little bit of distortion there, so I don't want it so thick. Let's take out some pages. Now there's really thick ones. I might just take that really thick one out. That's going to help. That one's quite thick. I might take all the thick ones out. Yeah, I think that's probably better. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. So that's like 28 in it. I think that will be fine. Don't think it needs much trimming either. Just a little bit of trimming down there is required. So I'm going to put a bulldog clip on there to hold it in place. There we go. Hold that in place there so that I can cut along there. I'm going to need that in a sec anyway. So I want my glass mats. Got my ruler. So checking we're all straight. Get a knife and just that's what ends. Let me check that that's good enough in here. Yeah, it is. So now we need to poke our holes and sew it. Let me find the centre. Clip it there. No. So So let's put that away before I hurt myself. Let's get rid of this so you haven't got a glare. There we go, all ready to now take my little hole and do a few holes. Just going to eyeball it, eyeball the middle there. And then I'm thinking about the fact that I've got not full sheets. There we go, that's my holes. So now I'll get my thread ready to sew. Alright, so I've got my thread, so I do three times the length and like a bit too. So that's 3 and a bit. So I'm going to start from the outside because I'm going to tie the knot on the outside. So whether you start from the outside or the inside, that's where your end's gonna be for tying off. So leave myself a length there. So I've done this loads, so don't matter if you go top or bottom. Don't make new holes, keep your existing holes. Then we're going to go back through the center, so pull the thread to one side. You can feel if you're making a new hole or going through the one that's there. So that's the pull and tight. Now we'll go through there. Make sure we're tight. And then this one goes under there. Take these off. So this is now where you tie, making sure these are tight. Go left over right, right over left. And I'm going to tie a bow. And that's our little journal that could be embellished by the person I'm sending this to, or it can be left plain. So it's as easy and as quick as that to make a little journal. Put things in, could have pockets, could have tags, whatever. So that's that. I might do a double bow. Leave that like that, I quite like it. And I might just put a little something on the front to decorate it. I'm going to get on with everything else, and I'm going to put that under a very heavy pile of books. So now I'm going to make this card. I'm going to do it in much the same way. So I've got the same piece of paper that I've used there, distressed it in the same way as you've seen before. This is half a sheet of A4 craft card. So I've got some of these ready to go. You saw me do those before. They're not all stuck together yet. I just cut a load. So I need a vintage printable. I'm going to go with that one because that's the wrong orientation, and then it sticks with sort of being foliage, and I think the colours in here go really well with garden green and cherry cobbler actually, so I think they'll fit with doing the I'm going to sort of do it in much the same way as I did here. I need a doily, so I'm gonna speed things up to do this section. So I'm just inking around all the edges with the soft suede, adding a little bit of stamping as well. So gluing that on, I'd already stamped and everything on that bit of DSP. Then I'm going to take that lovely vintage Christmas card, sort of ripping the edges, adding my stamps with my favourite stamps that age things, then deciding on which of these die cut baubles I want to use, which have been aged and stamped and things. So putting them all together, not really sure which ones I want to use yet, but I probably utilise them all throughout the decorating of the journal anyway, so sticking them down in readiness, so that makes the next process easy. So then just looking at which ones I want, trying to decide if I want a red doily or not, and I'm just going for the garden green. So those are the ones that I coloured with the ink to finish it off, and I think that's quite a nice way to decorate it. So those are done. Quite like how that turned out. This has been flattened nicely overnight, so I'm just going to do a little bit of decoration on that, and then I want to decorate these pockets and a little bit maybe around here. This is done, I think. Obviously that's going to go in there. Still, I'm going to do something on the back there to have ribbon going underneath. And so I have been using this die, which is the border from Gingerbread Dies. And so I've cut lots and lots of borders. And I've got my doily, my baubles there. And I've also cut a load of Christmas trees. So I did a little bit of collaging on my packaging paper and then cut them out with my little pine tree punch. I've got some doilies there. So I'm just gonna sort of decorate. My idea is that I'll probably put a border on each of the pockets. I think they'll look nice. And then I'll either add a bauble or maybe a Christmas tree on them. Quite like that Christmas tree. So that sort of thing, that is what I'm going to do. Maybe add a bit of a doily somewhere and finish it off that way. Oh yeah, I like that. So I'm going to get on with that. I'm going to speed it up, and then we're nearly finished. I'm going to get a vintage picture, I think, to go on the front of the little booklet. Oh, and I've also got a few other embellishments. So I've got these seals, which were in the Stampin' Up catalogue a while back. I think these might have been last Christmas. These are little bells. So I'm thinking I might change that for a little Christmas bell, and they're the right colours. How brilliant's that? And then I've got a few Christmassy paper clips here, so Christmas tree and stars, and I've got a Christmas tree washi, so I might incorporate those as well. So here I am, just using all those elements that I sort of die cut. I like that border, and sort of adding that to each of the pockets, adding some twine to the eyelets, sticking on the Christmas trees and the baubles. I like the bow that I tie there in the eyelets and on the Christmas trees and the baubles. Picking the vintage picture for the front of the little journal insert, adding that little star paper clip as well. And now I'm doing some stamping. So I wanted little sentiments throughout the journal, sort of some little prompts or just nice things, Christmas sayings. So lots and lots of Christmas stamp sets were used there, and I just stamped them and then sort of fussy cut out each word. I really like that look of them split up and spread across the page. I was going to sort of mat them, sort of stick them down on some crumb cake or cherry cobbler to make them stand out, but that takes even longer, and I thought I might get away with not doing that. Only one, the one I'm just sticking now, I think should have been matted. All the rest seem to be okay, but fiddling and inking around all those little words was quite difficult. My friend thankfully had that little set of tweezers, which did make it a little bit easier. I'm going to add those to my wish list. Those tweezers, they were brilliant. So yes, I'm just finishing off fussy cutting out of those words. I really like the look of fussy cut words, and putting them on. I could have cut words. I've got loads and loads of journaling words, but I just love some of the cheesy sentiments that you get in stamping up stamp sets. I decided to have a die cut Christmas there on the front. I think that works really well, and then I'm just going over there with a blending brush to make sure everything's vintaged. So now I'm just looking at what I need on the back. I wanted that stripe to be framed, so this sort of Christmas jumper print I think worked really well. So just cutting that to size and then inking around the edges, because we don't like white edges, do we? And then I've got a beautiful thick, well, wide, it's not thick at all, it's cotton, ribbon there in cherry cobbler, which is just perfect. So using a bit of terra tape there to adhere it to that DSP panel, making sure it's in the centre, and then sticking the DSP on top, using some terra tape as well as glue so it is properly adhered down, and that's it, finished. And there we are, finished. So yeah, I'm quite pleased. I was finishing off with a friend of mine, and she was like, "You're giving this away?" I went, "Yeah, it's a swap." She was like, "I don't know how you can." Yeah. So yeah, we're done. So I'll just give you a quick flick of the finished thing. I think it's a triumph of Stampin' Up coordination. I think having all the colours match really make a big difference. So on the front there, I've used that Christmas die cut, got a nice bauble and border. I put that bell on there, which I think lovely for Christmas, and the tag. I think it's really nice. Memories. The person I'm swapping with has a little girl, so I quite liked that, and showing that lovely stripy paper there, which is like running through the entire sort of journal. I love the sentiments. So my friend came and she's got lots and lots of different Christmas sets, so I was able to add lots of lovely I think appropriate sentiments for a Christmas folio. I really love the way these bauble dies have worked. I think they do have quite a nice sort of vintage feel about it, and I think it works really well. Now there is, yes, that needs sticking down. It kept coming off. I think a little dot of Tombow, and that will stay in place. Should I put it on top of the bauble? No, I like it on the edge of the Christmas tree. So I'm going to stick that there, and hopefully it will stick this time. hold it down there. So yeah, so an awful lot of fussy cutting here. I did think afterwards that these would have probably been nicer backed on some cardstock, but they do take quite a long time. I know I speeded up the video and so it doesn't look like it, but actually cutting these out individually is sort of a bit of a labour of love, but I quite like it. May your Christmas be merry and full of delight. Quite like that. Magic and Wonder, again, a little girl featuring there because I know she's got a little girl, so I thought that might look really good. Right, I'm hoping that will stay there. So each of these tags that I put a little hole in, eyelet in, I've just done a little bow with the twine that is the same red as everything else. That seems to be working. And I did my little journal, so I used one of those star paper clips there. Capture memories of the season. I thought that was a really good sentiment to put on the front of what will be a journal that they may choose to use as a December daily, which is what I'm going to use the one that I received for. I'm thinking I'm going to round these corners. I'll do that before I do the film the flip through. So yeah, this isn't meant to be a complete flip through, but yeah, do like the way that that has turned out. And then that's the two big tags that I did on there. Lots and lots of space on the back, journaling, pictures, whatever. So yeah, so it was thanks to the Liz the Paper Project for the inspiration of the folio. Thanks to the lovely brown paper packaging I had, that was the basis of making the envelopes for this, and a chance to use this beautiful paper. My friend thought this was actually a vintage book page. I was like, no, it was a Stampin' Up paper, and she couldn't remember it. So like the way that turned out on the back there. Lovely bit of ribbon. So yeah, that's it done. So I hope you've enjoyed this series. I hope if you're thinking of doing a December daily that this has given you some ideas, or 12 Days of Christmas or something, or just want to make something to put in some Christmas memories. Yeah, and a little different way of using, you know, Stampin' Up products. I think doing something vintage is maybe not your first thoughts when you look at some of your Stampin' Up products, but this is, apart from the few vintage images, this is all Stampin' Up, and I love it. Love the way these have turned out. So I will list down below all the products that I've used that are available. There is loads and loads of retired stuff in this, but the dies are all available, and some of the stamp sets, the ones that I used to age, are available. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed that. Hope you've stuck with the series. If you haven't, I'll put it in a playlist where you can find it. And yeah, I'm gonna pop this in the post. Lots of photos on my blog if you want a closer look. And yeah, thanks for joining me, and I will see you again soon.